Music. The boogeyman of hip-hop in the 1990s was a 6'2" former football player named Suge Knight. People weren't afraid of him, rather, they were terrified of him. I mean, he was the big cigar-smoking label owner who made everyone afraid. Well, maybe not everyone. When Dr. Dre wanted to leave N.W.A., unlike Ice Cube, who seemed to be able to break out of Ruthless Records easily, he wasn't going to allow Dre out of his contract, so Dre decided to bring in some muscle in the shape of Suge. The rappers who truly didn't give a f about Suge were back in the early 90s. Nitsu attempted to use people to destroy my record company. Dre, according to BG Knockout, scheduled a meeting with him, but when he arrived at the hotel, he was not to be seen. Instead, he met S.H. Knight, who attempted to intimidate him. He related this scenario to us. After Eazy entered the room, Suge shut the door, and his buddies were hidden in the closet and on the bed. You know, you were supposed to meet with him to sign him, get him out of the contracts, or whatever. But when he got there, Suge was there. Emerged from their hiding place, finding themselves in a hotel room where Suge had guys hidden in the closet beneath the bed, and when he awoke there, Suge locked the door, his goons emerged from the closet, and they were armed and on the bed as Suge got up. They get up there, he locks the door, and all these cats come out of the closet, behind the bed, and into the bathroom with guns. But, despite the rumors going around, he was not beaten or touched by Suge or any of the other guys with him. You have to realize that Eazy isn't a man. May simply tamper with Suge, according to KD, was aware that EAS had the entire Compton Crips with him and that they were not going to touch him. However, in the end, certain events occur, and he receives a release for Dr. Dre and Michelle, so I don't think that. The true because, you know, he had the Atlantic Drive, Kelly Park, the Hoods, and the Southside SPO town just as the whole country was BU, so we put no red. You know what I mean. At that time, he had the whole aura behind him. Do Eazy like that, you get what I mean, so I believe that was an up. Despite having multiple weapons aimed at him, EAS remained composed and signed the documents that were given to him. However, I've heard that he never got physically assaulted. You're claiming that they pulled guns on him? Yes, they did indeed, and they essentially said, sign this right did. However, it was easy for BG Knockout to be shrewd enough not to write his genuine signature on the form when they were doing it. Did Eazy get beat up like in the movie? No, they didn't touch it, and this wasn't the first instance in which they outwitted him. Eazy then initiated legal action, claiming that he signed the documents under duress, rendering the contract null and void of things, and he ended up receiving 20% of everything they released for the following 6 years. They were unable to take legal action against him for anything Dre created or produced there, so he was paid when he finally signed the subsequent documents that actually freed Dr. Dre from Ruthless Records. He signed a contract that ensured received 20% of the earnings from every record Dre produced or rapped for the following 6 years in an incredibly generous manner. In the end, they ended up receiving 20% of everything they released for the following 6 years, and they were powerless to stop it. Dre was compensated for everything he produced or rapped there. Said that Dre Day is actually Eazy E payday. So how did it work out? Well, when Dre sought to make his deal with Interscope, you know, I was included for the next 6 years, so you can say whatever you want to applause. Basically, I had Dre signed as an exclusive producer and artist. You could call me names all you want, but I'll still be paid, which is why I claim that Dre Day is just Eazy's paycheck. Suge signed Dre to Death Row tracks in addition to helping him release Brutal tracks, but their collaboration wasn't sustainable for very long. In 1996, Dre departed from Death Row and founded the label and Aftermath Records. Became extremely successful after Dre signed Eminem soon after, and Death Row saw various changes in fortune. Sadly, Pac was killed, and the Death Row label became a shadow of the man who had once been Suge. In February 1997, Suge was also sentenced to 9 years in prison. During this time, Snoop Dogg also desired to be released from death row. Snoop End. Due to Suge's stated desire to assassinate Snoop, their relationship had gone so terrible that Snoop had to employ security. The two had even occasionally made fun of each other. What do you think of Suge Knight's latest admission that he was once a CEO and is now simply a no-limit soldier? He was once a superstar. Fortunately for Snoop, another company wanted to sign him when Snoop Dogg did business with Master P. Now, he's simply an inmate. Master P desired to sign Snoop to No Limit Records, but as Snoop himself states, Suge was the boogeyman that everyone was afraid of, so we all know that dealing with Suge would never be simple. Master P made a deal with Suge Knight at the penitentiary because everyone else was afraid of that. Suge Knight refused to budge, so Master P went to Moo Creek State Prison to try to talk with him. But Suge Knight was the monster, the boogeyman, and that's when he was the boogeyman. P enters the prison of New Creek Music. During our meeting, I told Suge Knight, "Look, Music, man, what do you want for Snoop? I've heard that you struck a deal with Master P. To get Snoop Dogg out of his contract, Master P had to pay millions of dollars to Suge Knight. I met with Suge Knight and told him, look, man, your desires for Snoop, I had heard that you had struck a deal on the T. After speaking with them, they worked up some figures and informed me of what they were. I added an additional $200,000 or $300,000, and that was the total amount, a couple $1,000,000, but it was a night in a masterpiece story. Doesn't finish here. When Suge Knight was allowed to leave prison early in August 2001, he reached out to Master P. However, Master P responded by saying that he was one of the rappers who wasn't afraid of Suge. Suge Knight attempted to coerce Master P into leaving Los Angeles, but he wasn't having any of it, so you received a call from him. Did anything come of that? He said, I'm big enough to meet him in, Puffy. Oh, wow, why am I saying this when you're moving? Because I recently bought a house. Other than pursuing Snoop Dogg and posing a threat to Master P, Suge also had issues with Dr. Dre. As you may recall, Dre had left Death-Row and was doing well with the Aftermath while Death-Row was having trouble. Suge was envious of Dre's success with his new label, which made matters worse for Suge because Eminem had become the most successful rapper in the world at this time. For Suge Knight, this was like witnessing the realization of his darkest dread. Suge hated Eminem. That's what you think about Eminem, isn't it? The ghetto is kind of blinded in the sense that if you're truly from there, you don't notice anything, as white rap does. Suge detested the fact that the man he considered his mentor, the guy who was now selling more albums than everyone else, was on the label of the man who was really doing those things you rap about you talking about. I can respect that if somebody else is writing your rhymes, somebody else is you telling somebody else a story that really doesn't mean anything. Adversary, and M was now the prodigy of Dr. Dre after signing with Dr. Dre and inheriting his grudge. Dre got back on with this white rapper who turned out to be the greatest rapper in the world. He had a problem with it, saying something like, you know? Eminem's former bodyguard, Big Nas, said, that kid needs to be with us over at Death Row. Big Nas managed to keep Eminem alive despite Suge's attempts to get him to abandon Dr. Dre and maybe go to Death Row at the 1999 Source Awards. Suge had sent his henchmen to attack and beat Eminem. Making his way to his seat standing off to the side, I watch as M gets cut off on his way to his seat and is surrounded by these guys wearing red shirts. As I stare at them, I think to myself, I sense something is off, so I begin to move in the direction of the aisle and I'm aware that you see a lot of guys discussing death row. Death row, death penalty, so at this point I cut in, moved in front of him, and shoved the people away with an expression like, yo, what the? Big N said he had to utilize the red carpet when this was happening to prevent the guys on death row from harming Eminem. We had our conversation, and I told him, man, whatever you do, paparazzi are out here, take as many autographs as you can do as many interviews as you can. I also said, see you, these guys are not going to do anything to you, so why are you on camera? What was Eminem? The next time that Eminem and Suge Knight crossed paths, it wouldn't be the first time that they did. Saying all of this, the man was like, This is trying to kill us, man. They're trying to do what they want. I don't understand what they want. Demonstrated that, despite 50 Cent's involvement, he wasn't afraid of Suge at the moment. The bottom thing is that, if my resell is Rob, you better identify. Eminem, 50 Cent, and other members of the Gunnet crew were in Los Angeles to film the music video for the song 50 at a nightclub, but they weren't. Anticipating an unexpected visitor to show up, so I was like, what happened? I remember the time, and it's amusing because he showed up during the club video shoot, arriving like he was outside and dropping. I'm in front of the camera, light man, everybody going like laughter this sprinting. They had simply vanished. Suge Knight didn't turn up alone. Instead, he arrived in classic Suge Knight manner, bringing with him other blood relatives, though not the usual kind of gang members, to intimidate and make his presence felt on the stage. The death row head appeared on the set with blood relatives from Mexico. My initial encounter with him was during the club video shoot, which was similar to our initial visits to Los Angeles. As we looked at the scenery, all we could think about was the weed and the palm trees. Later, Shane Knight appeared in that film, and I believe he had. It was wild, the Mexican Bloods or something. I saw it with a tattoo on his forehead for the first time, and 50 stepped up to him that night and asked, "What's up, man? What do you want to do?" I just remember smoothing 50-50. "What you're hoping to accomplish?" Bang him, bang him, bang him, saying, "What do you want to do?" Suge gave him a look, took a puff, blew out his cigar, and did what he pleased before they went. Eminem was also engaged, according to Tony Yeo, and he was prepared for a fight, but this is why. I have always held Eminem 50 in high regard, and because he was present, he brought some Mexican food. Since we are from New York, I was bothering him because I saw him say, "I don't give a man, that's this one I know." I'm like, damn, Eminem is a real. That's when I realized that Eminem was real. These 50. The Mexicans seemed a little perplexed, as if they didn't know what was going on, but came outside, and Eminem came outside 100%. Then the SH simply went away. Wow, what have I missed? Eminem said, "Yo, I don't give a man." Saw V Gotti and SH Knight after 50C. And then at the Visa Awards, he was with Herb, so I'll never forget it. It seemed like they were moving slowly as they passed the trailers, so he asked one of his guys to go fetch as many knives as possible, up to 50, since he's a genius, and told James Cruz to go buy 15 knives. James Cruz bought 15 knives, passed him by on the trailer, and said, "Oh yeah, you see how 15 with knives, it's like you ever seen American Me." Yes, that was the movie that convinced me not to want to serve a sentence in prison. It showed how young Buck obtained the knife that he used to stab the guy who struck Dr. Dre during the same awards ceremony. What do you think? Should I add someone to the list that I haven't? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like. If you liked this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. I hope to see you at the following one. Peace.